You're now diving into the fish tank.
Dive up in that fish tank. Who that? Sitting down with Seth Living, OJ, Juice Man, ooh, and this is strictly for them true fans.
Welcome back to the Fish Tank right here on the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. God, that sounds good, Juice. Seth Levitt here. Sounds good, right? How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. How about yourself, big dog?
I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling Tua is in the house. I had to celebrate the right way. And, I mean, it's the first – well, I don't know when we're going to play this, but the fact that we just made it through round one, it was a lot of fun watching the draft. I know we've had some years where maybe we didn't have as much fun, but I was excited to see what Chris and Coach Flores and scouts had put together for us, and just the town is going Tua crazy, and that's the way it should be. So it's
no doubt about it, Big Seth, man. Fun night, man. And, that first round, as we always know, is a big round for most organizations. And, man, we got a first rounder today, I think, don't we?
It feels like it. It feels like we might have a first rounder in the house, like a high first rounder.
First round.
Probably one, Tua would be like, wish he could have this guy on the line these days.
Right.
Man, I don't know that we have a bigger former player follower, at least not on social media. I don't know how much he's been listening to the show, but we've been trying to get this dude on for a long time. I don't know that there's a nicer guy that has ever worn a Miami Dolphins uniform. Richmond Webb finally dives into the tank, making a big splash. Big fella, how you doing, man?
Seth, Juice, what's up? How y'all doing today?
Good, Big Webb. Good, man. Finally got you in the tank, man. Finally.
And it ain't too chilly in here. I was a little concerned. I can't swim, but it ain't too big.
You can't swim already? All these years in Miami, you can't swim?
Like a rock.
Oh, no, don't say that.
Hey, but Seth, standing at 6'6", though, man, you can stand up in most pools, man.
That's
know what
true.
I mean?
He's got his head above water. Well, it's good to see. I know.
Kiddie pool with the kids, yeah. I'm gonna be
the ones with the floaties on the side and
all day long. They won't
man.
That's where you're gonna find me at.
I love it, man. Well, it's really good to have you here. I know Precious wanted to have you in for a while. I know you got a chance to meet Leon, our producer, who's hiding in the background, man. So we're all just really excited. And, there's a lot of Dolphins memories that we're going to be able to cover over the course of today. But before we get into all that, I just I want to talk about the fact that, and Juice alluded to it, you're a big dude. You're not a little fella. Were you always big? Were you like big out the womb? Were you? Was there a moment where everybody's like, "Wow, Richmond's actually not little Richmond anymore"?
Well, I think my mom, when I was born, she said I weighed like 9 pounds 1 ounce, so that's a big.
Damn,
it's a big fella.
And even going through school and stuff like that, seemed like I was always a head taller than everybody else. So I can remember, I think when I went to maybe junior high. By the end of the 7th grade, I was like 5'9", and then I hit a growth spurt where I grew like 6 inches over the summer. So I went from like 5'9" to 6'3", my 8th grade year, and then like an inch or two. And then by the time I graduated high school, it said 6'7", but then I think I was 6'6" by the time I got drafted by the Dolphins, something like that. So
either you shrunk or somebody wasn't measuring right.
Yeah, it's not new territory to me. I've been always looking above everybody. So yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, the NFL is always trying to knock you down an inch or two. I know I'm actually 5'9" now. I was 5'11" coming out of college. You know what I mean? So
5'9".
They cut you down. I'm telling you. I think the NBA gives you an inch or two, but the NFL, they're not giving you nothing. They're taking it away.
Every little thing.
With the spikes on, if you get those long cleats on, maybe you get an inch back.
No,
you were sinking into the turf, man.
I think I was too heavy. Mine stuck down in the ground. I was a molded bottom guy. Yeah.
Now, Webby, when you originally recruited by Texas A&M, they had you as a defensive player. Right? Is that correct?
You're exactly right. I played both ways in high school, but I was recruited as a defensive lineman, and went there.
Were you a tackle or an end?
It's basically a defensive end. That's back when they used to run the old New York Giants, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, but I was a defensive end.
Everybody was a
And,
tackle.
went there, and then, the coach gives you the spiel, this and that. Oh, we only got 3 guys left. When I got there, they had moved a couple guys from linebacker to defensive end. Next thing, I was like third. Instead of being the third guy, I was like third team depth chart.
Can you imagine that?
So they do one thing to recruit you, and then they get you there, and like they always do, they switch it up on you, right?
The honeymoon was over quick, Juice. The honeymoon was over quick. So I said, man, what's going on? So get there, stayed on I got red shirted, so it gave me a chance to get bigger. I was about 235 when I first got there. End of the spring semester, I got to like 270. And then the next year I went in, then the next thing you know, they recruit more guys. So this guy out of Plano, Terry Price, he played for the Dolphins for a minute, but we actually came out together, and he was like All-State. So now he's in front of me. And then I guess right before the spring, D-line coach comes to me and says, hey, we're thinking about moving you to offense. So I was pissed off, but I wanted to play. So I said, if I can play over there, and immediately I went from like third string to like second string. I was backing up, so I was happy about that, and I just worked hard, and that was the best decision they made for me. But
it sounds like you weren't worth the shit on the D-line there, Richmond.
I'm gonna tell you what it was. I'm gonna tell you what it is. Defensive guys just react. There's nothing wrong with them. I love them, this and that. But Coach Slocum was the defensive coordinator. Jackie Sherrill was the head coach. But I can remember being in meetings, and if we're all 11 guys out there, if I see Juice about to make that tackle, I'm going to shut it down and reserve my energy for the next play. That's not a defensive mentality. They want everybody to run over there, because every now and then you think Juice makes that tackle, but he misses, and then, the next guy comes. But I just had too much faith in, like, Juice. I need to save my energy for the next play. So I didn't have the mentality that they wanted me to have. I think I thought too much, and I said, okay, I should have been on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Oh, it seems like it worked out okay.
Worked out all right. I don't have no complaints now.
How long did it take for you to get to the point? You said once you went from third team to second team, that's when you started to feel like, okay, this makes a little sense.
Yeah, I was backing up a tackle, and matter of fact, he played for the Dolphins for a year or two before I got there. His name was Louis Cheek.
Oh, wow.
Eighth rounder for the Dolphins. He probably got drafted in maybe 88, somewhere like that. So I was backup left tackle, and then what happened? The starting left guard got hurt about midway through my sophomore season, so they put me in at left guard, so I started playing left guard. So when the guy got back healthy, I said, okay, let me go back to my backup position. So we're in the middle of team practice, and Joe Alvazano was my offensive line coach.
Oh, wow.
He was special team coach for the Cowboys. And next thing I know, Coach Sherrill, everybody looked up, they say, who told you to get out of there? I said, oh, no. So he said, get back in there. And so I felt bad because it was my teammate. I was like, I wasn't trying to take his position.
Yeah.
I felt bad. It was like, and so next thing you know, I started at left guard, and I played there my rest of my sophomore year, started there my junior year, and right before my senior season, they come up with this great idea to move me to left tackle. And I was pissed off about it, because I was like, I know I can play offensive guard. I've been playing here. I'm comfortable here. Why would you wait like a week or two before the season starts? So we're going to move you out to tackle. So I wasn't happy, moved out there, but it worked out. And I had a good workout at the Senior Bowl and the Combine. But the thing about it was, when I went to the Senior Bowl, Buddy Ryan was my coach. So
another guy who loved offensive players.
Right.
He actually talked to me, because I had heard that. So I went up to him and I said, hey, Coach, how you doing this? And I said, hey, man, I can really play offensive guard. Is there any time I can play guard? So he was like, he looked at me and said, yeah. He said, no, everybody wants to see you tackle, so you're going to be playing tackle. But worked out. I had a real good week at the Senior Bowl. We got crushed in the game, but the practices were so physical, this and that, and I had never seen anything like that. I can remember we would be doing one-on-one pass rush, and it would be about, I'm going to say 20 or 30 scouts, all with yellow legal pads. And they were sitting there and watch each individual one. And I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to let somebody beat me now, because the Senior Bowl is one of those games that your stock could either rise or it could take. And I said, man, I'll come too far. It ain't going to happen today. So that was the best thing for me. It helped me actually move up the draft, because I was projected to be like a late first rounder. Then I moved up to the middle. And I just did the right steps to help me get up into being a top 10 pick. So everything worked out good for me.
That's crazy to me, Juice. When I hear that, because I feel like Richmond Webb was born to be a left tackle. Like from the moment, I don't know, someone tried to take his toy and he gave him a forearm and knocked him on. I just feel like, so to hear that journey, and it really wasn't until your senior year, and you were still trying to sneak back to guard at the Senior Bowl, is crazy to me.
I wouldn't have been too happy with you, Seth, if you said that I was at the Senior Bowl like I've been born. I'm like, look here, bro.
Wow.
I need to get my guard position. Where
I might not have had the courage to tell you that, but I just said, I wasn't, buddy, right? That's crazy to me. Well, listen, they were all right. They all figured, it worked out pretty well for you and for the Dolphins, and for Dan and for a whole lot of us. But so you had this standout career, and, hearing the story now, by the time you went through that Senior Bowl and clearly did well in those drills, you moved up the charts, had that high grade. What were the expectations? Like, had the Dolphins been talking to you? Did you, it's so different now, and it's interesting to have this conversation as we're literally in the middle of the draft right now. But it's, now they talk to 100 different guys, and so I feel like guys have a better feel for where they think they might go now than maybe they did back then. But what were your expectations? Had the Dolphins given you any love? Did you think there was a chance you could end up in Miami?
Yeah, Coach Sandusky came to see me down at Texas A&M. I remember he came down. Coach McNally from the Bengals, he came down, and it was a scout, I want to say, from the Atlanta Falcons came down. So I was kind of back then, if I really didn't know you, I pretty much asked and answered. Whatever you asked me, I answered, but didn't try to keep So I remember the conversation. We was in the weight room, and he kind of talked to me and this and that, but I just wasn't real talkative. I was cordial and stuff, but he probably said, "Man, what's wrong?"
You don't want to go to Atlanta? Just say it, man.
So I can even remember. This is a true story. I was at the Senior Bowl, and it was so crazy. Like back at the hotel, that I would try to get to my room or whatever, and I can remember. I saw Mean Joe Green, and it was another coach. And I was walking through the lobby of the hotel, and you know how you can see somebody's eyes just beaming on you? And they started walking toward me, and I saw them in my peripheral vision. I said, oh, man, I don't want to talk to those guys. So I started trying to walk faster to get by them.
Richmond, did you not realize you're trying to make a good impression to make some money? Like, what? Why are you hiding from everybody, man?
I'm just telling you how it was. I was just I didn't want to go hang out or nothing. I was just kind of like to myself. And my roommate was Chris Warren. He's running back with Seattle now.
Seattle, yeah.
Like, man, you want to go out? I was like, no, but we was cool. And I almost made it out of there, and I heard Joe Green speak. He was like, slow down. You're not in that big of a rush. I was like, oh, man. So I stopped in my tracks, and it was actually pretty cool once I talked to them, and they remembered it. They said that we remember when you played, we played Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl one year. That's when they had Tim Brown and all that. They said you had a really good game and this and that. But man, it was just too much traffic, too many people I didn't know, bunch of executives, and I just said, man, let me just try to stay focused. But it was different. But
wow,
I wasn't a real talkative guy. I was just trying to take care of my business and move on to the next phase.
So then when you had to talk, when you got drafted, right, who made the call? Was it Coach Shula? Who actually called you on draft day and you got that call? And
Well, Coach Sandusky called me that morning before the draft. I believe it was the Saints called before the draft, and the Raiders, they called before the draft, and everybody said, we're going to take you. But we think you're going to be off the board. So, you hear that, and I was just like, I hear you, but until it happened, I ain't buying into it. So I just said, okay. So I can remember like yesterday, I think Junior Sal went the 5th pick, and then the guys, Swami, Tom Jackson, Mel Kiper, and Joe Theismann was the crew on ESPN back then. I was at home in Dallas watching it. And then I think the Bears had the pick, and they was like, well, they could use a tackle. And they took Mark Carrier from SC. He was a safety. Then the 7th pick was Detroit, Andre Ware. They had to run and shoot, so I knew that wouldn't happen. 8th pick was Chris Singleton for New England. And as soon as they took him, my phone rang. And I picked it up, and it was Coach Shula. He said, hey, you ready to be a Dolphin? I said, yes, sir. So I was so happy because I was nervous. But once you get that call, it's like I could breathe, I could relax. So I was happy. And then later on that night, it was the NBC affiliate station in Dallas. So, hey, we want you to come down. They wanted to pipe me into Miami. So I think it was NBC in Miami. It had to be. And they said, hey, what do you think of Coach Shula? I said, oh, man, I was happy to go to Miami. I said, hey, you got a nice tan and look like you wear shades on the sideline. And so they got a quote from Coach Sandell. He said, man, is he in for a
I bet.
shot? So from that point on, I get there, and I find out about the 12-minute run and all this kind of stuff. You know, that's a whole nother story. And I said, man, this dude is crazy. But then I figured out, I said, from this point on, I'm not going to really be doing a lot of talking because I put my foot in my mouth. So I would always kind of let Keith do the talking. I was more the quiet one.
He didn't mind.
Keith was a spokesman. So whatever I needed to get said, I kind of like talked to Keith about it. I know he didn't have a problem saying it. So that's the way I kind of got out what I needed to get out.
That's what's up, man. Hey, Webb, you know, we both know about that first round, but you personally, I mean, I didn't get any phone calls before the draft. That's for damn sure.
Really?
You know what I mean? Not a one. And we both got that call from Shula, but yours came a lot earlier than mine did.
It was, you know, the draft now, I was fortunate to go. The Dolphins asked me to go last year to Nashville. It's a true production. It's totally different. When I got drafted, the draft first round was on Sunday morning, and I think each team got like 15 minutes or whatever. I was at home in Dallas with my parents. You know, my brothers and sisters was there, this and that. But, you know, I understand the COVID-19, but, you know, people's family stuff, they had a little green room, the red carpet, all that. It's a whole – the NFL does an amazing job with the draft now. It has changed so much from when I got drafted.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And being the 9th pick, though, that means a lot of money as well. You know, I know about, you know, how they treat first rounders, man. But what we read, Big Webb, tell me if this is true. We read that you were scheduled to make more money than Marino. Is that true?
Well, when you take the signing bonus and all that, you know, I think how much the NFL has changed. I think before, when I got there, I don't think Dan's base salary was $1 million, and that. Or maybe it was 1.5. I can't remember.
It's insane.
Yeah. So you got him to the $1 million threshold.
It was different, and that was before free agency. So when you got drafted by a team, you had to work out a deal with them. You couldn't say my contract's up and I'm gonna go negotiate with 32 other teams. So free agency was a good thing for the players, but I think with the signing bonus and everything, I might have made more than Dan that year, but that was salary. That wasn't endorsements and everything. So
what most of your teammates don't give a damn where you get drafted at. You know, they know you're a first rounder, a high first rounder, and they want to see, you know, how much money can we get off of Webby? Can we get him to take us to dinner? Can we get him to do this and that? How much was that involved with you? I know I got, you know, I had to go buy Snapple across town. I had to, you know, go buy Krispy Kreme donuts, all kinds of things. How did they come at the number 9 overall pick?
Well, see, the good thing with you, Juice, you was a receiver. But the only difference with me was I was a lineman. Of course, I had to buy breakfast, stuff like that. But it was me and Keith. So one week I might have to buy Keith buy. So it wasn't as bad. And we was in the hood over there. You know, we was over there at St. Thomas. You didn't touch St. Thomas over there, did you, Juice?
I had one mini camp there. One mini camp too many. One too many.
So it was a whole different world, but it was cool. But it was good that me and Keith were rookies together because we kind of split it up. So they didn't hit my pockets as bad. But I can remember. I can remember. I guess we come in for minicamp. We have the bank. Remember how we used to have a banquet or whatever where they announced all the draft picks and all that.
Juice knows it well. What talks?
I'm standing in line, this and that. So I'm probably gonna be one of the last ones. So no, I think they announced us by number. Yeah, because I remember I was back there with Clayton. And so coming from Texas A&M, college town, Juice, you probably similar to Penn State, similar this and that. Then you come to Miami, there's, flash and dash, this and that. So I can remember, my normal attire for, some at A&M was navy blazer, khaki slacks, and like some penny loafers with a little penny or something like that in. So I'm standing back there with Clayton and those guys, and, they're back there clowning this and that. And, Clayton's probably the smallest guy back there. Clayton comes to me and say, "You fucking first round. Don't let me catch you in no shit like that again. You clothes, stuff like that." So it was funny at the time. But I was like, man, this is the littlest dude on the team. They handling me like this. You know what I'm saying? But I had respect for him because I remember watching Monday Night Football, him and Duke and all that. Those guys took good care of me. But it was funny it wasn't funny at the time because I couldn't change my attire. That's all I had. But I said, okay, I'm going to have to go buy me some clothes or something now. These guys here, they're riding me already.
Well, that gives us a little history, Juice, as far as I know there's something else you want to talk about, but Richmond, the Richmond that I worked with didn't wear penny loafers and blue blazers.
No, he sure didn't. He sure did. Richmond had some of the baddest suits, on the planet. You get on that plane, back then, you talk about it. Richmond had probably the most material ever used for a suit. That's for one thing. And it's so much material. I think he had to have, he still had the navy jacket, but the pants couldn't match because they were out of material for that one. You know what I mean?
They ran out of material.
Yeah. So they can only do one or the other. They can only do one or the other. They couldn't do both at the same time. So it was still sharp though.
They made me step my game up, man. And, when I started getting into it a little bit, I used to like dressing up for the games and this and that, but it was funny because I had such a good relationship with my teammates. I knew some stuff that I wore was going to draw attention, but I knew the guys was coming for me. I knew it was going to be some jokes and stuff like that. But
on the swivel, huh?
Fun, but, man, the good group of guys we had when I played, it didn't matter to me because I got along with all my teammates, and I knew it was just genuine love. So I could take the jokes and this and that, but it was good times back then.
Webby, it didn't matter what you wore. You're going to hear it no matter what. Whether you were sharp, sloppy, in the middle.
I would stretch out there with some of the colors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might have swore I grew up in the Caribbean. The colors I would wear, but I said, hey.
It was Miami.
It was Miami. That's it.
Hey, Big Seth, with Gators to match, like all the colors, his shoe game was on point for sure.
From top to bottom, huh? I love it. I just remember double-breasted suits.
That's it. You got to coordinate.
I remember the largest double-breasted jackets I'd ever seen in my entire life. But at that point, he was a vet by the time I got in there in '96, so he was doing more of the clowning of the younger guys.
Yeah. Hey,
I do remember that.
One thing they made us do, man, once you got in the locker room, you had to find yourself a tailor. You couldn't go off the rack at that point or you get clowned the whole time.
Well, I liked how guys would bring in, right? Different people would bring in their tailor. Everybody had a little something on the side. Yeah. So then they were trying to, who was cutting out whose guy. And sometimes if they weren't the approved guy from the head coach or Tony Eggles didn't bring him in, they had to sneak him in the side.
Tony Eggles was wearing some tailor-made suits. And,
he was.
So,
because every one you bought, he probably got whatever they cut from the material. Tony was getting 2 free ones for him, man.
We got rich. Whatever they got left over, we see if we make something out of it.
Yeah, he had a little side hustle going on. Preach, what were you about to say?
I remember sitting at the front desk checking in the players at where we departed for our charters with Stu. Road Dog Stu would be there with me, and just Richmond had this like blueberry pinstripe, like it's almost a purplish blue suit. And it was just like beautiful material. And it was just the style. It was just cut down like mid thigh. The jacket would go down at the time. The jacket would go all the way down to like mid thigh. And it was, I just remembered, to echo OJ's remarks, just like, how in the world is this piece of fabric? How much fabric is in this? I mean, you're just a monster of a man.
Yeah, were they charging you extra for that, man? I mean, I can't imagine. You're like, hey, our suits cost this, but your suits are going to cost this plus.
They just always told me what it cost. They didn't tell me what it normally costs.
Yeah. Yeah. You might should have asked that question. I don't know. So you've mentioned his name a couple times already, and there's no way we could talk about Richmond without talking about Keith Sims, for sure. And not because it makes either one of you a lesser player. It's just that's how, not only how talented the two of you were, but it seemed like even from afar, just how close you guys were over the 7-8 years that you played together. Almost like the two of you were inseparable, not just on the field, but from what I've heard from those guys in the early years, and Juice, maybe you could co-sign on this. They said that, you couldn't see Richmond and Keith walking down the hall, that Keith would always have to be on, right? Keith would be on his right side. If you guys sat down at dinner, he had to sit on the same side, like you guys almost were in sync everywhere you went.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else before Webby chimes in. You should have seen them trying to get in this 500 SL convertible together, right next to each other.
Together?
Big Webb. Yeah, tell me about it, Big Webb.
We got to ride together,
So you had to drive every time then, right? Because he had to sit on your right.
It was nice. But, have you ever noticed something, especially with big guys, they always love the smaller cars? And if it's a smaller guy, he always wants the big four-door Benz. It's kind of like, I remember when I first met Higgy. Higgy had the big
Was he in a limo?
White Mercedes with the white rims. That's kind of where I put my white rims on there from Higgy. But I had a two-door. I had the big body two-door, but Higgy had that one. I was like, man, Higgy's 5'7", this and that. Probably got the biggest car in the parking lot, but that was always strange to me.
Yeah, I think compensation is the word. So I think that's what they said.
But, it was a match made in heaven, and it was just, we didn't intentionally try to do that, but you're right. Normally, if we were walking, he would always be to the right of me or whatever, and it wasn't like we just consciously did it. It just happened. But that was the best thing I think that happened. And, it was a lot of questions, especially after you take a left tackle, left guard, but then not only that, you put them on the blind side, and not on the blind side, but the blind side of Dan Marino. Yep. And, Dan was already Hall of Fame status when we got there. So the magnifying glass was definitely on us. And, the thing that I always kind of focused on, my motivation was, I don't want to be the guy that's remembered of getting this guy hurt. So if I didn't, that's what kept me at that level. And this now I say, you don't want to go down in Miami as that guy that remember, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He's the one that, remember Dan Marino, he was playing, but that's the guy that I didn't want that. So whatever it took to try to get the job done, I would do it, but it made it a hell of a lot easier with Keith Sims on the side of me.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, Webb. When Clayton and Duper leave, I don't want to be that guy they say, well, they had Clayton and Duper, but then they drafted McDuffie, and everything went downhill from there. You know what I mean? I feel that pressure that you had to felt at that point.
But the good thing about it was pressure, but it was a real disciplined group. So it was like, I remember coming in with Marino, Clayton, Duper, this and that. When it was time to work practice, so you didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything was already in place. You just fall in line and say, okay, you got to match their intensity, this and that. And when you see guys of that caliber working, you're like, okay, if they doing it, I got to do it too. And so that was just kind of the norm there. And I think that's something that Coach Shula has set up. And I think that's why it was easier to probably just transition in and just, do what we did.
Yeah, you talk about it, man. And, I mean, it's obvious to all of us that you and of course, Keith were brought in to protect Danny and look out for our number one asset and, and go out there and do that job. And, of course, the left side, the back side, that blind side is a tough position for anybody when you got the Hall of Fame quarterback there. But also, we know you're also brought in there to block Bruce Smith. I mean, Bruce Smith to Buffalo twice a year, and what he was doing. And, we've had other guys on the show that, that left tackle position always need a little help from a tight end, from a running back. But they brought you in there because, they figured you could handle Bruce on that one-on-one situation. So that had to be a big part of it too. How clear was it to you that you were brought in basically to stop Bruce Smith against us?
Well, it didn't take long to figure that out. And I think by the time me and Keith came in, Dan probably was in his maybe eighth, going into his 8th year. So when you got a valuable asset like that, it didn't take long to understand, but that was our nemesis. And especially when I got there in 1990 and playing against them guys. And then when the first time I played against them, I was like, okay, now I know this and that. We did some slide protection and this and that, but I said, no, this guy's the real deal. Get ready for 4 quarters of hell and run past no matter what. You just got to fight, dig, scratch, get the job done by any means necessary. And playing against that guy, that made me raise my level of play. But, yeah, it was no question that was the guy that you had to stop because he could change the momentum of a game with a sack or a big play or whatever. He was that type of caliber player. So playing against him 2 or 3 times a year was definitely a handful. That was more than enough for me.
Yeah, I always thought, Richmond, I don't know how you got the number 78. I'd be curious to know, but I was like, damn, maybe they just put 78 on him so he didn't forget who he was. There's one guy we need you to worry about out there, and he's wearing the same damn number as you.
Yeah, you know what? When I first got there, Bobby Monica was the equipment guy, and he said, hey, what number you want? So I said 79 because I wore 56 in college, which I know I wasn't going to be able to wear in the NFL. You got to be almost like a center or something to wear a 50 number, whatever. So I said, give me 79. He said, well, I can't remember who the guy was. He said, no, somebody already got 79. And he was about to say, like, oh, I can take that. And I said, no.
Too nice.
I said, give me 78. But now I'm kind of glad I did get 78 because, Anthony Munoz wore that number, which I held in really high regard. So I said, okay, it's cool.
Rightfully so.
That's how I got 78 right there.
There's also rumors, and I was talking to Troy Stratford the other day. He said for the first time in Bruce Smith's career, they moved him to the other side to try to come at Danny because you were holding him down on the left side. He had to move to the other side. Is that true?
Well, I just know when I got there, he was mainly on but he would move around sometime over the center, over the right. They would try to put him in a position.
He's so modest, Juice.
I know.
They're trying to get him away from your big ass. You can say that.
But I think, matter of fact, this was my freshman year, Juice, and we had played them early in the season. We played them down in Miami. We beat them. It was hot. The humidity jumped on this and that. So we went to Buffalo late in the year. It's probably December. Another shootout that they ended up beating us. So we got to go back for a playoff game. We went 12-4. They went 13-3. So what happened was. I can't remember the TV show or whatever, but Keith Sims and Tim McKyer were on this TV show, this and that. So Tim McKyer was very outspoken.
Yeah.
Defensive back, anybody know him, this and that. So, he's talking whatever, this and that. And so he gets Keith on there. So they start asking Keith about Buffalo, the defense, this and that. So, McCarron said, no, just go and say it. Come on out with it. Just hypes him up. And, Keith comes out and said, well, I'd rather run at Bruce Smith than to run away from him.
Oh, boy.
And, he kind of broke down the whole defensive line, what he thought their strengths, weaknesses were, this and that. Well, somebody videos the tape and sends it to Buffalo, right? So they send the tape to Buffalo. So the next thing I know, they come out I can't remember if the offense got announced, whatever, this and that, before Buffalo, the defense got announced. So just like y'all said, we would always be standing right beside each other, me and Keith, this and that. So when they would announce Bruce Smith, it would just sound like they was almost booing because he would run through it like Bruce. He runs and he looks over at the sideline and he starts pointing like this here, right? So everybody looks at me and I'm like, so I look at Keith, we kind of look at each other. I was like, no, he's not pointing at me. So we get in the game. we're playing this now, and we're having success. And really, what Keith said it was true. You would rather run at Bruce because you just couldn't cut him off. And that's what he said. It wasn't nothing negative, but Bruce took it the wrong way. And
or the right way. He motivated himself.
Oh, man, it was like a TV timeout juice, and we're in the huddle. And then Bruce comes up, he said, hey, guys, school's in session, and it's going to take more than 1 hour to block me. And I was like,
oh, man.
Really? I'm like, man, y'all. But it was funny, and we kind of laughed about it, but it was funny because each guy, like I think Cornelius, I'm trying to think of the other two guys. It wasn't Ted Johnson wasn't there yet, but they each took times trying to line up over Keith Sims to beat him. He held his own, but it was like they was all pissed off about the tape.
Oh, man.
That was one of those funny stories where I was like, man, this is wild.
That is hilarious.
But Bruce wasn't a big talker, but I can remember him saying that back then. That was a funny story to me.
All right, well, we're talking about Bruce Smith, and again, it's like we can't talk about Richmond Webb without talking about Keith. And we have to talk about Bruce Smith. But I just, you start doing the research, Richmond, and the pass rushers that you had to face in your career, give the Dolphins credit for getting ahead of the curve. You had Bruce, who you had to face 2-3 times a year, like you said. Reggie White was in that era. I imagine maybe some other guys like a John Randall, if you faced him ever. They're just some, not only just Hall of Famers, but if you look at Bruce and Reggie, those are, and then you throw in JT, right? So you got a young JT who used to practice against. Those are like the only first ballot Hall of Fame defensive ends in the last 30, 40 years. What was it like facing that level of talent? And then how did you have to approach your game different with each guy? Did you have to be prepared differently for a Reggie White than you did for a Bruce Smith?
Well, the good thing about Reggie, he was on the other side, thank goodness. But we can just start it off first preseason. The guys our first game was Richard Dent.
Another Hall of Famer.
Was, I want to say, the Philadelphia Eagles, Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown was over Keith Sims.
My God.
Golick, and of course Reggie White. So that was, third game was I want to say Denver. They had Simon Fletcher and Carl Mecklenburg. Fourth game was Chris Dolan, Millard, Henry Thomas. So that's 2 Hall of Famers right there. Even before that's in preseason.
More than 2. It's nuts.
And then I know my rookie year, I think we played them again. So Clyde Simmons played against LT my rookie year, Bruce Smith, and Derek Thomas, who played him in the playoffs. But it was a challenge, and like you said, it was different guys, some speed, some was. And I can remember playing, I think it's about the 3rd or 4th game, we're playing in the Meadowlands, and we're playing against the New York Giants. And you learn to study film, this and that. And so normally LT is on one side, Carl Banks is on the other side. Well, this 3rd down play, they bring LT and Carl Banks on the same side. And I knew that was trying to think, the head coach. I can't think of his name now.
Was it Parcells?
Parcells. Yeah, he was the head coach.
I try to forget his name too often.
Belichick was the defensive coordinator. So, of course, they know it's 2 rookies on. So they line up, and I look and I see LT and Carl Banks, and I'm like, I've never seen this before. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do I do? Because both of them rushed the passer. So it just messed with my head, and I was like, I finally made a decision. I said, well, I'm going to just take the inside guy. And I think the inside guy was Carl Banks. What he did, he just stood there, and LT shot straight up the field. And I think he got rid of the ball. So I'm coming to the sideline, and Coach Sandusky is like, I can tell he finna light in my ass. So he's like, what the hell are you doing? I said, hey, man, I never seen that. I didn't know what to do. He said, well, you just sat back, and you just take the inside of them. But it was just on-the-job training that just Belichick was famous for that. Just show you something that you never seen before, and if you couldn't adjust to it, that I'm just glad Dan didn't get hurt. But I'm telling you My brain froze up. I didn't know what to do. I was so
Wrong guy to freeze against, huh? Lawrence Taylor.
It just showed you how much that everybody had talent, and you had to prepare, and you had to try to figure out. Everybody was skilled, but what is this guy's favorite move? What is he going to try to do? How is he going to try to beat you, this and that? And then just trying to come up with a counter for it. So there was a lot more film study that I was used to, but that's what you had. That's what I had to get used to.
Yeah. What about personality-wise? Who was the talker in that group? Who was, were there any great obviously the Bruce Smith pointing at you coming out of the tunnel was pretty fantastic, but were there any other guys that had some moments like that?
Yeah, I would say the best trash talkers I played against and not directly against was, of course, John Randall from Minnesota and Warren Sapp. We used to work against Tampa Bay all the time. Warren Sapp he'll give you some of the best one-liners you've ever heard in your life.
But he wasn't giving them to you.
No, he wasn't giving them to me.
Yeah, I know he had respect for you.
Here, so
we went to the interns.
Yeah.
Juice was there. It was a Monday night football game. We were playing against Minnesota, and John Randall was over there, and Chris
Dolman.
Huh? No.
Dolman.
He was an offensive guard center for us. He went to Seattle after this, but he came out of Auburn.
Chris Gray.
Gray.
Chris
Gray.
So we're in the huddle, like TV timeout, whatever. So John Randall hollers out, "David Duke." So Chris kind of freaks. He's like, "Man, why did they do?" I said, "Hey, man, don't listen to nothing that dude's saying. He just trash talking this and that." And that's how they would get in your head. They would find out stuff about your mama, your kid. They would talk about anything that just try to get you out of it. I said, "Hey, man, whatever he say, don't listen to it. He don't mean he just trying to get you out of it." But John Randall was that way, and he was that way even at the Pro Bowl. And most of the time, the way the Pro Bowl worked was the first half was it was up-tempo, but the second half was balls out. But this guy, we were in the huddle, and Steve Wisniewski, another Penn State guy, good guy, this and that. And he's out there yelling out, I said, the game just starting. So he got the face paint with stuff on, and him and Wisniewski got into it, and it turned into normally you would play a couple of series and come out. It got to where Wisniewski didn't want to come out because they were going back and forth.
He got in his head in the Pro Bowl.
Keith Sims actually got a chance to really just relax and watch the game because those two were going back and forth. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead and get you another series in, big fella. Yeah, I'm gonna chill over a bit." It was just, man, John. He would come up with some stuff, and I'd be like, "Man, this dude is great guy off the field." But if you had to play against him, he was just nonstop. If he thought he could trash talk you and get you out your game, he'd definitely do it.
Love it.
Man, Webby, yeah, that's awesome stuff, man. You know, Webby, you're one of the most modest guys we know, man. And from day one down here in Miami, man, you started every single offensive snap in your rookie year. Gave up a couple sacks. Only had one holding penalty. You talked about those Pro Bowls with the 7 straight. Why were you so good, man? And how'd you make the game look so easy? So easy, man. You made it look easy.
It must have looked easy to y'all. I think, like most of the time we would never watch film with you guys. So I could appreciate, like going through training camp. I mean, I know I would get tired of stuff like that, but y'all would be over there doing all those 7-on-7 plays. I said, man, how can those guys run all day long like that and get tired? So I think it was just an appreciation for, even though I didn't play receiver or running back, I had different appreciation for it because I'm like, yeah, we get up and bang, but we got to go 3 or 4 yards. Y'all might run 25, 30 yards down the field and got to come back and do it again. I was like, man, I'm kind of glad I play offensive line because my mentality, I can't keep running down there and y'all ain't going to throw me the football or something. We're going to have a problem sooner or later after that.
Hey, what about sometimes these wide receivers come and they got that crack back on the in-man line of scrimmage? That was kind of nice for you too, huh?
I used to love because a lot of times you would come in motion and me and Keith would pull and you would take that guy out. I don't forget about that. You got receivers that don't mind blocking and putting their body up like that. You one of us, Juice. You already know that. So you're honorary lineman. You probably the finest, the best built lineman because you know we got a little stomach. You the perfect prototype. So yeah,
he definitely had the best 12-minute run time of any lineman, I think.
Man, that 12-minute run that was nightmares. And then they bring in this guy from University of Virginia, John Gamble. Now that's John comes up with the 300-yard shuttle, and not 2 but 3. Now, Juice, you probably made all of them.
I hated them. That's the worst one ever, right there.
I called it 7 minutes of hell. You would run, you get 2 minutes rest, you run another one. But on that third one, Juice, I could go up and back, and my legs was just gone. I was running. I don't know how, but I never made 3 of them. It was just I was a bit.
Yeah.
John's like Richmond, right, Juice? Like, hey, big fella. Hey,
big fella, big fella.
He's nicing you to death, and meanwhile, he's just dominating you the whole game. You know, same kind of deal.
You can do it. You can do it, man.
Too funny. Well, Richmond, and again, you're being modest, just like you said, but with the kind of success that you had, and certainly early on, and again, protecting Dan Marino, which was clearly the goal there, coupled with the quality of person that you are. And we're going to blow your head up a little bit here. But when you put those things together, I have to imagine you were a Coach Shula favorite. Like, I have to imagine you had a great relationship with Coach. But tell us what that relationship was like. And was there ever a moment where maybe you got yourself in a little trouble with the coach?
Yeah, I got myself second year. Okay. Like Juice just said, played my rookie year, played all the snaps and we went and played the Raiders in Tokyo. We had 5 preseason games. So I partially tore my PCL in that game. So I had this big brace on that I had to wear. I had to wear the whole season. So I actually missed the first 2 regular season games of my second year. So I came back and, of course, trying to work back into it, this and that. And so anybody that knows Coach Shula, he reads the paper. He reads anything that's in it, whatever, this, snap, blah, blah. So
it's Harvey's fault. We'll blame Harvey.
Well, the thing is, the guys are always asking you, are you 100%? Are you this? Are you that? And so I'm like, no, I'm not 100%. I'm, 80, 75. You try to put a percentage on, you just know you're not 100% healthy. So sitting over there at St. Thomas in my locker, the next thing, I think it was around lunchtime, somebody says, hey, Coach Shula want to see you. I said, oh, shit. Anytime Coach Shula want to see you, it ain't a good deal. So
no.
I'm walking back there at first. I was like, man, you want to see me? I said, I ain't did nothing. So I said, I go back there, and then, you sit down, and he's intimidating. He's staring you right in your eyes, this thing. Like, what the hell is all this you putting in the paper about you're not 100%, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I'm not 100% this and that. So he's like, this and that. So he starts chewing my ass, right? And so I was young, kind of immature, so I get sensitive, I get moist, and so this now. I said, Coach, somebody else in there. You put somebody else in there. I can't take too much. I'm like, man, he's drilling me. He said, no. He said, no. He said, what you got to realize is everybody is playing with some type of injury, hurt, or whatever. He said, you got to find a way to get through it, this and that. And so I just said, okay, or whatever. So I walked out of there. I was pissed off because he done just ripped me up. But then after I thought about it, I could appreciate it later because that's what I really needed to hear. If I keep telling people, oh, I'm not 100%, it's like I was putting a target on my own back.
Right.
You got to figure out a way because I'm going out there. You're going to play. So ain't no need of crying about it or making excuses for it. Find a way to get the job done, and that's what I did. I didn't appreciate it that day, but I think that is something I use throughout the rest of my career is you got to find a way to try to get it done. So
didn't miss a whole lot of games.
It only took one time to his office, though.
That was it. One and done. I'm glad I never had to deal with that.
Well, as you can tell, Webby wasn't a troublemaker, Big Seth. He's one of those guys that, did things by the book, did everything the right way. But we all know that, big fellas sometimes, Big Webb, have trouble sometimes on weigh-in day. And Carl Tassin wasn't no joke over there, I'm sure, right?
Man, I'm going to tell you this, bro. And Carl took that so serious. And I can't remember if it was training camp. We were still over at St. Thomas. And the way the scale was kind of like it was at over in Davie, except it was right by a little door that went to like the meeting rooms and the coach's office back there, this and that. So I had got there early, and a lot of people don't know, you would try to sit in the hot tub at St. Thomas, but you had to take an actual water hose, turn the hot water on, and run hot water in there to try to break it. The heater didn't work. Most of the time it was broke. So
the heck was going on down there?
2 or 3 pounds, maybe at least 2 or 3 pounds up, and I couldn't get it off, and I was sitting there freaking out. And I went over there, and it was close enough to the wall, so most of the time, Carl would have his glasses on, they slide right down the tip of his nose, and he would be looking at the scale to see where he weighs. So what I did was I got real close to the wall, and I put, if Carl was on this side, I put this hand on the wall. I tried to squeeze my fingers to take a couple of pounds off, which I was doing. I just couldn't get it to be still. You know, it kept fluctuating. So, hey, what the hell is going on? This and that. And it's like, hey, you're cheating, this and that. And so I was like, damn. So he ran back there, and then I was like 2 or 3 pounds off. It was like $50 a pound, but hell, I didn't want to pay $100 or $150 if I ain't have to. It wasn't much money, but it was just, you never wanted to be overweight, because Coach Shula would, at the team meeting, he was like, well, +2 or +3. I'm like, I want everybody to know I was overweight.
He was announcing it to the whole team if you were overweight?
Man, Coach Shula took that serious, man. So
that's got to be some human resources violation these days, man.
So then, Coach Sanders comes out and says, hey, don't fuck with Carl on that. Well, if you're overweight, just, do it. He said, but don't do that. He takes that serious, which he did. I was like, man, I couldn't get it. I was trying my fingers, I just couldn't get it to be still. I was like, man.
Well, Richmond, from what we understand, it wasn't just Coach Shula who you didn't want to know about weigh-in day. We've had a couple different guests on the show that were around during your era. One was Louis Oliver, who said that his locker, that he loved weigh-in day, was like Saturday night entertainment.
Right over by the DVs.
He loved weigh-in day. And Bobby Monaco was another. But Louis Oliver said that one time both you and Keith, I don't know which specific time this was, but both you and Keith were it was more than 2 or 3 pounds, that you hadn't met the number. He said Bobby came out and asked what you had for dinner, if you had eaten spaghetti and bowling balls for dinner.
No, you know what? I remember that story, but it wasn't me. I'm gonna tell you, it was Keith and it was Gene Williams.
Man!
It was really dirty how they did it. This what happened. They made their weight. Once you make your weight, it's supposed to be overweight, right?
Right. It's supposed to be.
Normally, once we make our weight, we had a feast sitting right there by.
That's right.
That's right. We'd have made it. Well, I think right before the meeting, they made them weigh in again. You know what I'm saying? To check their weight. So then they were
why would they do that?
That ain't right.
No, that isn't right.
If Coach Shula say do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So they did it, and I think it was like 7 or 8 pounds up. And this same thing. Coach Shula comes in. He weighed his weight, but then he was a +8 or +7 up in front of everybody. And it was like,
well, bowling balls will do that to you.
They will. They will.
That's too funny.
We had like Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever.
Remember Mimi sandwiches and all kinds of stuff.
Well, definitely the Coach Shula story is a great one. And you've mentioned it plenty of times here. There's another Dolphin icon that you were affiliated with, and that was Dan. Obviously, we understand what your responsibilities were in protecting Dan, but what was that like playing with him? I always like to ask guys what those huddles were like. I mean, Dan does not lack for confidence, nor does he lack for letting you know about yourself if he felt you needed to hear something. Did that ever happen where, I don't know whether it was you or maybe another lineman on the team, where Dan, you'd come back to the huddle and Dan might let somebody know about themselves?
Oh, yeah. Dan would always, he would basically, he might tell the receivers what they need to do, this and that, the route, this and that. That was the fun thing I can remember when I first got there. And we go 2-minute drill. And he would call, I think the protection would be like 86 or 87. Don't know all the routes, but I know it's 4 wide. But then he might say, okay, 2-minute drill. We got a minute and a half. We got to go say 60 yards, this and that. And he would say, okay, Duke, run a takeoff, or Duke, do this. If this guy plays you this way, then you run this route. Okay, Clayton, you do this. Boom, boom, boom. If he does this, it was always like he would tell you what to do, but he would give each receiver a different option just in case that guy was playing them a certain way. So now you still got to go through your progressions, but then you got to still look at the defense and say, okay, it's still 4 different guys, but okay, if he does boom, 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 and he can still do that just like that and get the ball off. So that's what was
crazy,
amazing to me. And then, you know, sometimes he'd throw the ball too far down the field and he'd be running us, hey, get your ass up to the line. Come on, go. Like, man, you've been through it 40 yards. You know, you make a guy miss this and that, and he get out of bounds. But that was Danny. You know, that was it. But yeah.
Yeah, Danny was good in that 2-minute drill, man. I think we all were, and we put a lot of emphasis on that. Yeah, we put a lot of emphasis on that, and we know how important it is before the half, and definitely before the end of the game, man, to get out there and that was part of that conditioning, Big Webb. You know, those 300-yard shuttles come in handy.
It came in handy, but you get to the sideline, and then I guess y'all would look at the sheets. We kind of just grab the whiteboard, draw it up, and this and that. But then every now and then, Dan would look at the sheets, and then he'd come over there and say, look, if y'all give me some fucking time, I can kill these guys. Like, okay, man, all right, okay, we got you. And then people were like, man, what was he saying to y'all? I'm like, I'm not going to tell you what he was saying to us. If he chewing us out, he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people watching the game, they would see like a sideline, they might shoot to it and say, hey, what was he over there? Looked like he was fussing at y'all. I was like, man, I don't know what he was saying, but we won the game. That's all that matters, this and that. But I wouldn't, you can't reveal all the secrets and this and that. You don't want to let everybody know you get chewed out all the time. But it
and if you reveal, you end up getting called back to Coach Shula's office. You learned that lesson already.
I'm telling you, that took one time. That was it. I said, man, I'm not coming back here no more.
Well, it looks like you had Danny's back in more ways than one. I did a little research into what you said about the salary when you got there. Looks like he was making about $1.5 million in 1990, but I guess that 12-4 season helped him out because he bumped up to 5.1 for 1991.
Did they ask for a cut, Richmond?
I see you, big sexy. I see you.
You know, the thing was, if a guy got paid, I was happy. You know, didn't matter who it was, blah, blah, blah. But I know OJ was there because we were at Davie. You remember we brought in Michael Stewart and Gene Atkins, 2 safeties.
Gene Atkins, yeah.
Gene Atkins, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Gene Atkins. So I think they have written an article in the paper where they listed all the players' salary, this and that. Well, someone gave their opinion of some guys are overrated, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So we're sitting in a team meeting, and all of a sudden, Gene just yells out, "Pussy, get out my pockets."
Yeah.
So,
get your hand out my pocket.
You remember that?
Get your hand out my pocket. Yeah.
So at first he did it. I think he was trying to see how Coach Shula was going to react, and Coach Shula didn't say nothing. And then he like goes on this tirade, and he turns around, and just like clockwork, he's looks like me and Keith Sims. And I don't think Keith said it, but I believe Gene thought Keith had something to do with it, which I don't think he did. Because it was a source in the paper. So he goes on this big tirade, this and that, and he's looking at me, and I was like, man, you know, Gene, I knew Gene, but Gene was kind of crazy. Yeah, he had got into I remember it was a scuffle on the field with, remember the tight end Kuntz? Remember Kuntz? Mm-hmm. And I remember they was fighting, and next thing you know, he said, man, you got my nuts, you got my nuts. He was trying to get away. I said, Gene don't win at any means necessary. So I'm thinking, I was like, man, I got to go talk to Gene because I don't want no problems with this brother because I know he's crazy. So
yeah.
I waited a little bit, and I said, hey, man. I said, hey, dog, we good? I said, hey, man, I don't know if you think that was me, but I ain't got nothing to do with it. He said, no, I know what you. I said, okay, as long as me and you is okay, I'm good. Man. I was like, I tried to avoid confrontation, this and that. It don't look good if you're a big guy and you actually some kind of way get whooped by a little guy. It just ain't gonna go down.
He had that Bruce Smith look in his eye when he came out for you and Keith.
I'm telling you, Gene was a different character, man. Matter of fact, I met his son, Geno Atkins, at the draft last year.
Hell of a player.
No, he was a good brother, but yeah, he was something else.
Hey, but lesson there, Webby, is never talk about anybody else's money, right? Don't talk about nobody else's.
Farm your own land, right?
Yeah,
farm your own land. I think I don't know if it was that or something else, but I think that made him, and we'll hear about it because he listened to the show. But Gene then took issue with whoever wrote that, which he went after Jason Cole in the locker room, I believe, as well.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he ran by him and knocked him down.
Yeah. I think it might have been for the same thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You sure right.
Yeah.
Gene had one hell of a day that day, didn't he?
He said, "I know you had something to do with it. I don't know who the source was, but I remember that. He
knew we could go to that part. He couldn't figure out. So I guess now we know the other side of the story. What's the real story, as we like to say on the show.
Right.
So we, unfortunately for Jason, he had to take one for the team, and Gene, I guess, let all the media know how he felt about covering him, but. I didn't know the backstory, so I didn't know that he tried to go through Webby and Keith first to find out who.
He was staring. We sat so.
Gotcha.
And then Coach Shula was like, "Hey, if you're gonna say something about somebody, be man enough to put your name in paper." He's staring at Keith, right. And Keith was like, "I didn't say anything," but everybody thought.
Nobody wanted that smoke, man.
Everybody. A lot of people thought it was Keith that actually said something, but. I said, I just got to make sure that Gene don't think I had something to do with that. That was my
man. He's silly, but except he already said they're always attached at the hip. So of course Gene was looking at both of them because they're right beside each other.
Couldn't look at one without seeing the other. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it sounds like. And where they were sitting. So if Richmond was sitting here, Keith was right here, right next to him. It had to be like that. Oh man. Hey, so big fella, one of the things we like to do on the show at times is we like to find a signature play in a guy's career and almost break down film a little bit, and so that they could see what the fans have seen and walk us through what happened. So we're going to play a signature play here, and if you could just kind of walk us through what we're looking at here, just to kind of give the fans a better idea of what's happening.
Oh, no, man. You're wrong, man.
And fans, you gotta like that now. You want to dance, so move. Out of your seat, watch the other team because they're going to get feet fins rolling. Hold on.
Oh, man.
I thought I was y'all boy, man. The gloves came out. Man.
Oh, man. Hey, Keith was right there, too, Juice. He was right there.
He was right there.
Oh, man. Richmond, walk us through that.
Man, somebody found that on YouTube. I said, man, they should have burnt that thing. I was like, man, why did you stop? I was like, man. My kids saw that, man, and they rolled me so hard. That ain't right.
Hey, so the Zubas, too.
Did you wear the Zuba pants? You didn't have none of them, huh?
No, I didn't get any. I wasn't blessed enough.
I got them on in this picture behind me here.
You ain't going to admit to it anyway. Man,
oh, man.
That was it back in the day, man.
Richmond, so, having been a PR guy and having to bring things to guys and saying, hey, we got this guy who wants to do this thing, you don't have to do it. How the hell did you – I mean, what was sold to you that you said, yeah, this is kind of cool. I'll give it a shot.
I think it was everybody. It was a lot. I think Higgy was in there, some of the D-line. They took clips from everybody. You know what I think it was?
No.
Trying to be a star instead of just staying in my lane. I should have just said, nah, this thing.
Know your role, huh?
Video, this and that, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, we'll be in the video. I didn't think they were going to be showing us breaking it down like that.
Man.
I'm like, of course they put that in there, but yeah.
Big Sexy was moving, Jim's.
Editing, because y'all would have never saw that.
That's more Zuba's ever been seen on screen with no Danny.
That was a lot of Zubas, for sure. Thanks for being a good sport, man.
Yeah, really.
If we did this in person, I don't think I could have pulled that off. I'd be, he's got that long reach.
It's love, man.
Nothing but love.
We're gonna have a good time, man. Life too short, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, Big Webby, man. But on a serious note, man, I know we were both blessed with a lot of great moments, man, and a lot of great memories in our careers, man. And, you know, a few different honors, and you got way more than I had. But, you know, one of the guys we worked with, we both really enjoyed together, man, is a guy named Scott Chait. You know, and remember Scott, man, you know, seeing him in our locker room. You know, tell me why Scott was so important to you, and talk a little bit about, you know, the impact he made on your life.
Well, he was, you know, he worked with community relations, and man, I used to give him a hard time at times, just joking with him, but I think he kind of finally figured it out. And he was, I guess since he had cystic fibrosis, they would have a charity event, this and that. He'd be like, hey, you come to the event? I'm like, no, I'm not coming. He's like, what? No, I'm not. I ain't gonna make it, man. I ain't coming to that. And so I let it go for about a day. I said, no, I'll be there, man. I'm just messing with you, this and that. But, you know, I just had an appreciation for him, because I knew at times he would be in the hospital for weeks at a time, just depending on his situation or whatever. And then I remember he drove like a little 3 Series BMW, but then that's when they came out with the Dolphin plates. And I think, Juice, did you have a Dolphin plate on one of your cars?
I did.
BMW?
Yeah, BMW. Yep.
Yeah. Because I remember when you first got, you had the little Typhoon.
I did. Damn, Webby.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I remember that, because you know why? I wanted one of those because it was fast, but I was too big for it, so I had to live through you, brother.
Big guys, small cars.
Never told him that. You know what I'm saying? But,
yep.
You know, okay, yeah. I said, I see you, Juice.
Hey, when you went to buy a car, did you and Keith go together to make sure?
No, man. It's just, I get it. I like Corvettes and stuff. I just know I can't fit in them. But I love the way they look. I knew it was fast, this and that. And I was like, man. I said, why didn't you get that? I was like, I want one, but I know if I pull up in this parking lot and I get out of a Typhoon, and Lewis and Jarvis and all them guys, they're not gonna let me live it down. So I had to kind of quietly live through Juice, you know, back then. But anyway, so what I noticed was, I said, man, Scott got a Dolphin plate, but he had my number. 78, right? So I said, man, he took my number. I said, okay, I ain't tripping. I ain't gonna get no deals, this and that. Because we was cool, this and that. And so just always had a real good relationship. And then, you know, he passed away. And then I was talking to his parents after the deal, and she said, you know, you was his favorite player. And I was like, what?
Wow.
And it kind of shook me up. And I was like, man, I said, he was a good dude. I wasn't mean to him or nothing, but it was just like, you never know how people hold you in high regard. And I was just glad that I handled that the right way with him. But he was a great guy. I had a lot of respect for him. And for you to be dealing with a medical issue like that, you know, come to work, because he would come to work every day. Only time he wasn't there, he had to be really sick. Mm-hmm. And I just always respected him for that. So.
Yeah, and I always talk about Scott like that too, Webby, because I always say that, you know, Scott always was what he was going through when he came in that locker room with a smile on his face, you know, willing to take the jokes that anybody was coming at him, man. And we sit there as athletes, professional athletes, making a lot of money, and we used to bitch and moan about the littlest things, man. But Scott was always that guy that put things in perspective for me.
Oh, no doubt. So, yeah, I think everybody kind of felt that way, but that was just, man, I remember he was a good dude. I won't forget him.
Yeah, no doubt.
Scott was good people, real good people. Well, you know, you talked about people holding you in high esteem, Richmond, and I don't know that there's anybody who's ever met you or watched you play that doesn't hold you in high esteem. And one of the conversations that comes up a lot, and I've never really talked to you about this, and it's kind of interesting because the last time I saw you was in Canton, but it's the Hall of Fame talk. And I think it's safe to say, speaking for my co-hosts here, that we all believe that you should be wearing a gold jacket. Big one, double-breasted, big, lots of material. We all believe you should have one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know that Dolphins Nation feels that you should be in the Hall of Fame. What is that like? You know, is that something you give any thought to? I mean, you're always so respectful of everything and everyone. And I'm not asking you to tell us if you think you're a Hall of Famer or not, but when they send out that list every year and your name's on the initial list, how closely are you paying attention to that? Do you ever look at guys who are in the Hall and think about where you fit in that space?
I think my career definitely warrants, being in there. I see some guys that watch it and then they try to belittle guys that actually made it in. But I'm like, if you made it in, you're deserving.
Right.
That I think I had that type of career. I just hadn't made it in yet, and it definitely helped. I remember when JT went in, and he gave me a big shout out and stuff like that. And there are other guys that even like Zach, you know, he's still waiting. So I just tell guys it's a process, and I think I got a shot. If it happens, cool. But I'm not gonna let it drive me crazy. I can remember Chris Carter before he made it in. It seemed like he would almost go into a state of depression, and I'm like, bro, you was one of the best receivers in the game. You're eventually gonna get in there, but they can only get 5 or 6 guys in there at a time. So if it happens, I'm good, but I'm not gonna let it drive me crazy. It means more to me when people like you and guys I played against validate that, you know, I was that type of player. So that gives me comfort. But I don't have any control over it, and most of the guys that vote on it is media guys. So unless one of those guys really make a push for you or a great argument, I'll just wait and see.
Yeah, I just don't get it, man. I really don't, man. You talk about the Pro Bowls and starting from day one down here, protecting the Hall of Fame quarterback, Dan Marino, going against guys like Bruce Smith, you know, Reggie White, John Randall, Greg Lloyd, and Kevin Green, those guys too that you went against in Pittsburgh. Dominant. How is it not even, you know, already happened for a guy like Richmond Webb? And I'll tell you the reason it hasn't happened, Webb, because you are humble. You don't go and fight this battle through the media. You don't fight this, you know, through Twitter or anything like that. You just let things happen the way they happen, man. But I guarantee Richmond Webb will be in the Hall of Fame because beyond deserving.
Definitely deserving. And, you know, he's talking about mostly the media guys that are doing the voting. So, you know, we had Armando Salguero on the show, Richmond, and Armando he's the voter now in South Florida. He's had that vote for a handful of years. I don't even know if you know that.
Yeah, I know Armando.
Well, I know you know Armando. I didn't know if you knew that, because Edwin Pope was for the longest time was the guy, and then he passed the torch to Armando, and Armando takes great pride in it and really a professional approach to it. And I got a chance to work with him during JT's process just to kind of see how much it mattered to Armando. I think some guys, they have the vote, and well, I shouldn't say what other guys do, but I know how important it is to him to do a good job in the process. And maybe we need to connect the two of you. Maybe you guys need to have a conversation.
That sounds like a plan. I'd definitely be willing to do that.
Yeah, we'll let him get through the draft. He's writing about 700 articles a day right now, as many picks the Dolphins have. But you guys should talk, because, I'm with you, Juice. I mean, if you look at the things they talk about, there's the obvious. I mean, it's a little trickier, right, with linemen, because you can't count touchdowns or what have you. But, you know, there's longevity in the career. There's all of the consecutive Pro Bowls, the durability. Did he make people around him better? Absolutely. So, I mean, you check all those boxes, Richmond, and we'd love to see it happen for you. Not that we have any any way to make it happen other than I definitely will be sending a text to you and Armando. I will be connecting you guys for sure.
That sounds good. I appreciate it.
Cool, man.
Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely he is. And we appreciate you, Blow. You know, I don't know that anybody's amplifying us on Twitter more than Richmond, man. Every time we push out an episode. So appreciate the love on social media. And I know we've talked about this for a long time, so we're excited to finally get you here in the tank. And I can't wait to get in the editing room with Leon and cut this thing up so we can get it out there. And no, we're not taking out the dance piece, man. I'm not taking that out.
I ain't got no problem with that. I think you should leave it in. Yeah, that's the icing on the cake. So yeah,
you're a good sport, man. Thank you so much, Richmond.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, man. Y'all have a great day.
Hey, thanks for diving in, Webby.
All right.
Dolphins were at a 2, we might have never been that